There we're facing east, looking at the Oasis Visitor Center for Joshua Tree National Park. On the left up there in the corner, way up there, is the 29 Palms Mission Church. I think the name of it is, I'm not sure what the name is, but that's it on the left up there. And this is a visitor center. Right here, these dunes used to be the ancestral hunting grounds and gathering area for the Chemehuevi people. And I know I pronounced that wrong. Chemehuevi, I believe that's how they pronounce it. But all these palm trees they planted, and the water's low in this area right here. So, you know, mesquite bushes grow, and palm trees they planted, they can get dates from there. The mesquite bushes and trees have beans on them. You can make different types of food from them. You can make flour, jelly, different types of food. So this is looking back west. All the way to the end is where the water is. This is what actually the Indians had until probably about 1850, when Colonel Henry Washington, George Washington's son, nephew, he came up and was in charge of the USGS land survey system. They were plotting that out. So he was up here, and you know, there's a lot of stories. Another story about Whillie Boy, the story of Whillie Boy, the Chemehuevi Indian that fell in love with Carlota. And he was raised here in these dunes, and they ended up down there in Banning at Gilman Springs Ranch. And old man Gilman was down there, and Carlota's father actually worked down there as well, worked at the ranch. I'll finish this here in a second. And so they ended up at down there by Banning at the Gilman Springs Ranch, and the story goes that I heard, there's a lot of different stories. That's the Indian reservation right there. That's what they ended up with. Way out there is a casino, all the way out in the middle of the screen at the top. That's the casino right there. And then that land in between there and here is what they gave them. And to the left of the casino, that road that's going there, to the left, that's way up there. That's the boundary. And all the way, that's what they ended up with. Their graveyard is right there in the bottom right over there. Right here, that's the where the Oasis is, actually where the water is. It's all an oasis, but you know, it's just the water is shallow. Right here, water was actually above ground. And you can see it right there. Now, that's the garden. The Indians had same things here. Gardening, grow crops, had water, but they visited the area, you know, on and off, they say. I think they totally inhibited it. Anyway, Colonel Washington showed up for this land survey system, and he was also looking for gold. So once that happened, adobe was built, the Indians were displaced. They gave them that land over there, right there, that barren area you see out there. And then the settlers ended up with, and the miners, with this. They started cutting their trees, so they ended up down in Coachella Valley. They call themselves a 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians. But they're actually Chemehuevi. And so this is what they lost. And so I just wanted to show you that. To a 1-star hotel. So the story of Colonel Washington, I can tell you, it goes like this. He showed up doing the land survey, and they had some Indian guys here. He was looking for gold. He was looking in the wrong spot up there by that casino. He was up in those hills. And then the Indians said, man, we know where the gold is, but they couldn't speak, but they were pointing. Eventually, the Indians came back with a bunch of gold samples, and he went and found the Black Eagle mine on the military base here. But back to Whillie Boy. So Whillie Boy fell in love with Carlotta, and down there in Banning. And her father, Boneface Mike, didn't like that. And he ended up killing Boneface. Boneface worked for the Gilman Ranch, old man Gilman. And so what happened is Whillie Boy took off with Carlotta, and from what I read, I went to the museum and read this stuff. He ended up in the Whitewater River drainage, and the posse closed in on him. And according to the posse, he killed Carlotta. But according to what probably really happened, they killed her in a gunfight, and Whillie Boy took off up the Whitewater drainage, and he got to the Pipes Canyon and went through the Pipes Canyon area, came up in Yucca Valley to Warren's Well, and ended up back up at the 29 Palms Oasis. Not the Oasis, but the 29 Palms Oasis. That's a different Oasis. He ended up at the Oasis of Mara. And then the posse followed him, and he ended up going 600 miles. And supposedly, he killed a couple of the posse, of people in the posse. He ended up back up on Old Woman Springs Road, up on the old Dixie Mine, New Dixie Mine Road, at the base of Ruby Mountain. And that's where they had a gunfight, and he ran up into the canyon, and they couldn't get him, and they waited a week or two. Okay, we switched the perspective. We're headed back west toward the garden and Oasis of Mara, the water there. This is the 29 Palms Inn. So back to Whillie Boy. So he had the shootout, went through the Whitewater drainage up through the Pipes Canyon, and Warren's Well ended up back at 29 Palms Oasis of Mara. So when the posse got there, he hauled a tail. when the posse got there, he took off, and they threatened to kill the children and women, and they told him what direction he went. They followed him. He ended up, like I said, at the Ruby Mountain with the shootout, and a week afterwards, I guess, they found him dead up there. There's a grave there. Now, what the natives say happened is that he ended up, where did he end up? He ended up out in Nevada with the Paiute tribe, the Paiute Indians, and they took care of him, and he ended up getting tuberculosis and passing away. But now, the Chemehuevi Indians have a casino, and they're holding their own up here. But this was their ancestral homeland, and now you see what's left. That's their graveyard right there on the top. You see, I'm going to watch that vehicle. You see that truck is right there where that truck just passed. That's the graveyard back there. Now, that's that farm, again, or, garden. But I hope you guys enjoyed the little story I had here. All right, the flight is over. That's the Oasis of Mara, where those palm trees are. Now it's the 29 Palms Inn. That's where Whillie Boy came from, the backside of those snow-capped mountains. Mount San Gorgonio. Banning's on the other side there. Beaumont, Gilman Springs Ranch.